Do you recommend music lessons for children? If so, when do you start? Boy, do I recommend music lessons for children. And the earlier they start, the better. The reason has to do with the effects of musical training on psychosocial development. One of the greatest predictors of a child's overall happiness is the number of positive social relationships they carry in their lives. And one of the best ways to be a friend is to be empathetic, a good listener, to be good at experiencing the emotional space of another. Empathy has been formally defined in the laboratory as being able to detect emotions and then virtually transpose them onto yourself for a few minutes, almost like you were trying on clothes. You can actually measure it these days in the laboratory. If you've been around a truly empathetic individual, you already know they make great friends. We now know that music lessons increase empathy in children, and in a surprisingly causal way. The reason I bring that up is that so much of these data are associative. And if you've read through brain rules, you already know I talk until I am blue in the face that association does not mean causation. Here's a causal experiment. The researchers took a group of elementary kids, I think it was 8 to 11-year-olds, and assigned them randomly, of course, to one of 3 groups. The first group got music classes, where they were taught to perform on instruments, they played musical games, shared musical experiences, music, music, music. We'll call it the musical group. The second group didn't get that. They had robust imitative and interactive experiences for sure, but no music was allowed. The third group simply went to school. Empathy scores were assessed before the experiment started, and then after the school year began. A year later, their empathy scores were tested again. The musical group outscored the other 2 groups, but not only in empathy, though they outscored them in empathy. The researchers also found they were imitating facial expressions and had a much more robust ability to decode the emotional information in their social world. They were better at accurately detecting emotions in verbal cues. They were better at accurately detecting emotions in nonverbal cues. These kids are going to make much better friends, if you recall what I said about empathy a few minutes ago. That's why I advocate for musical exposure. Go ahead, teach them. Get them in there as early as you can.